I can't promise it's great, but we definitely try. Today, I am super excited to be here with my co-host, Teacher Tibbs and Chris Goldman. You'll be seeing us kind of sleuthing around, making sure that you guys are ready for this jam-packed, strategic, alliance, clarity level of a mission. We have some amazing agents on this call that are going to put you through the ringer, put you through boot camp, but on the other side, you're going to come out collaborative, ready to excel, ready to lead, and empowered. We also have some of your go-to supervisor on the call. We have a full deck of area directors, division directors. And so what can I say? I don't know. Teacher, you think they're ready?
Angela, if they're not, I don't know what we can do to get them more ready. So we can get
You know,
started.
okay. Well, I'll agree with that. Let's kind of
Okay.
go over our day's agenda. Y'all do not mind. It is going to be broken down in three parts. The first one is a briefing. Of course, we done kicked off with a welcome, but what's another way to do a briefing? Let's get up, get active, have a little bit of fun. That could be some of it. We also have secret intelligent intel from the CIA, who will be here, Ryan Torgerson. And then we have our very own Lieutenant Stacy Thomas, who will be getting us ready for the DCP. We need to understand what we're going to be going to, right? Then we have a little bit of planning coming on, conflict, command, operation tactics, and sharing intel. And then our final thing is action. We need to be ready to take on this year with all of the equipment that we can possibly take it on with, right, Chitra?
Yeah, most definitely.
No AK-47s though, or anything like
No,
that. I promise.
no,
Don't
no
worry.
Mossberg pumps and nothing like that. No
No,
gloves or
no.
nothing.
Sometimes I have to bring her back in because somebody believes in going over and beyond, even though she is too
Yeah.
legit to quit.
Well, well,
She
that's like
doesn't like any
that's
of my
that's
corny
you're
jokes.
aging me now.
I'm sorry. I've tried here. Well, you know what? Let me just head it on over to Chitra.
Let's.
But before I do that, I do want to set the stage for today. We do ask for you to be on camera, to be active in the chat. If you do want to come off mute, please raise your hand. You'll be called on. There will be numerous different times to have a Q&A session and to work with one another. Then, if you do not mind, please change your name to your name, the role that you will be taking on for the 25 to 26, I'm sorry, yes, 25 to 26 year, and then your club name, because that is very important. Please be kind and courteous, staying on mute throughout the meeting. And with further ado, let's accept this mission together. Over to you, Cheech.
Hi, thank you. Oh yeah, about to call you something else. Miss Works, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to help you, and we're going to move into what we call the icebreaker. And so what our icebreaker will be as a group, we are going to play bingo. And how is this going to work? On my other screen, you can't see, I have a caller, and a caller will tell me a position on the bingo board. We will try to achieve bingo like we normally do in bingo, but as we call out something, each of these things represents something within Toastmasters that you should be kind of familiar with. If you fit either of the things that's called, raise your hand. I'm going to let Kayla call out who can talk, and then you're going to have 30 seconds to share about that, whether it's an experience, whether it's something you want to do. Um, it's kind of like bingo and table topics. So I think we're all familiar with table topics. So are we ready to go? Can I get hands up? Great, great. Let's get started. Held position before. Who's held the position that they have before? Kayla, call on somebody, please. I can't hear you, Kayla. Did you call on somebody?
I did not. I cannot see anybody on my screen, so this
Okay,
is
okay. I'm going to
fun.
go
Why don't
with Will Davenport.
I have held the vice president of membership. This is going to be my third year. Um, and that isn't because I want to be vice president of membership forever, because we're working on cultivating other people to be able to hold the role. And I've been VPE, president, secretary. in the club that I'm in, and love Central Communicators. Thanks.
Thank you, Will. Oh, okay, then let me go back to my board and let me find it. Okay, there we go. Uh, who's excited? Let me see. Okay, Mary Dunn, you're excited. Tell me why you're excited.
I'm excited because, first of all, we have wonderful district leadership this year. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about being back in a leadership role. I haven't been an officer in a year. So I took last year off. And so I'm excited to be an officer coming up again this year. And I'm excited about everything I'm going to learn today that's going to help me be a better officer.
Thank you. Our next thing, and so excited. Our next one is have a pathway. So, who on the call has a pathway? And if you have a pathway, tell me the name of the pathway and where you are in the pathway. And I'm going to go with Jonathan Edwards.
Thank you, Chitra. I'm currently on the persuasive influence pathway. I have just literally started into it, a couple of speeches in. I just finished the dynamic leadership pathway this past year, and I have to tell you, I absolutely love it. It is something where I'm motivated, I'm focused, and I look forward to every single speech I give, regardless of the pathway. It's truly awesome.
Thank you. And so, do I hear someone is either a DTM or trying to be a DTM? Two pathways is part of the DTM. We'll learn more about that later as well, I believe. International conference. Who has attended an international conference? Stephen Lingham, I believe.
Lanham, yes,
Steve
Stephen Lanham.
Lanham.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
I've attended two district conferences, and the first was in Cincinnati. I live in Kentucky, so it's relatively close. The second was in Las Vegas, and that was back in 2015. And the reason I remember that date so well is because my fiance and I went to that together, and we actually got married at the Graceland Chapel in Las Vegas while we were at the
Okay, so we
international
have
conference.
a
So
Toastmasters wedding, an international
that's right.
conference. That's amazing.
Toastmasters is for lovers. So that's all I have to say about that.
Hey, that's a new one. We need to use that one. I haven't heard that before. Speechcraft. Who has been over Speechcraft or who has presented at a Speechcraft?
Yeah, we did
Who
one
starts
at
off?
Luann.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. Tell me
We
about it.
put one at Oracle. It's a senior learning situation at Rome State Community College here in Oak Ridge, and we had 5 sessions. They had to sign up. Oh, I don't know, at least a year, maybe 18 months before, because they published a brochure. So the man that was leading it invited me to help him. And what we did is do one session. I think there were 5 units that you did, and about 5 people participated, but they didn't keep on and join a Toastmasters club. I think one man joined for a little while,
Mhm.
but it was useful for what they were doing during that time, but it didn't hold anybody to keep being members that I'm aware of.
Okay, so within this TIL training, as far as we go with the 2025 through 2026 uh, year, hopefully as District 63 can come up with ways to, we have a speechcraft. How do we keep people in our clubs? Okay. And so our next thing, speech as a guest. Who has given a speech at a club that they were not a member of?
I have to. I've done that too.
Okay, so you got 30 seconds on this one. How was that?
Oh, I thought it was fun. It made me feel more important to be asked to do that. Actually, I've had 3 situations. One was at a tea that they brought up words like mine was heredity, and they had evidently they'd had that several years. It was here in our predominantly Black community, and the other one was at a Toastmasters group that was partially Black members, and it was nice because I really want to get to know other people of various backgrounds, and that's just my personal experience. I don't. I heard that I did a good job in both, but that's all I know.
I, I
But it
am
was nice.
I am sure you did. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next thing, right? So, who is the first year Toastmaster? Christina, I believe, or Slade? Slade District. You got a
Yes,
great
yes,
background.
ma'am. I am. This is my first year in Toastmasters.
How did you find out, and how's it going?
I stopped Toastmasters. I was emailing a club that wasn't there, and then I was at a mixer for my company, and my past boss got me in contact with Mary Dunn, and me and Mary Dunn rode off into the sunset together.
Thank you so much. Mary is one of our A players here at District 63. I've had great conversations with her at spring conferences. Okay, who's attended an international club meeting? I people in my club have. So has anyone? Will, you already communicated. Kayla, are you able to see people? I can't see all the way across.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can
So
now, and I don't see any hands raised,
yeah, Will's
but
hand was
Kayla
raised.
has.
Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Oh, well, if Will has not, Kayla has. Kayla attended one not too long ago, and it was a joke club, and they told a lot of good jokes, comedic relief. They actually enjoyed my cool auntie jokes, teacher. Hmm.
Okay, I'm not sure why, but hey, everyone has their own preference. Okay, there we go. Club coach. Who has been a club coach? Rona?
Oh, we got Mark Oshman. He raised his hand first.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
I was the founder before of the young part of the marketing. I would say very interesting.
Okay. Mark, we were not able to clearly hear you. If you could type, because everything everyone has to say is very, very important. Could you type what you said in the chat, and so everyone can hear that? And man, okay. And I think I have time for one more, and it does not look like we are going to get it. Who had an icebreaker that was over 7 minutes?
No.
Nobody? Nobody? Actually, Thursday at my club meeting, I think we had someone. Oh, yes, Matt Ziller, area 30.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, glad to share. So my very first speech at our local Toastmasters club just went over 7 minutes, but I'm a passionate video gamer. So I use video games as a mechanism to talk about growth and leadership and all these sorts of things. Outside of icebreakers, my longest speech accidentally was 17 minutes and 42 seconds as I was telling army stories, and everyone said, just keep going. We're having a good time.
Okay, so this is the end, and I want to thank everyone for participating. If I didn't call on you, charge it to my heart, not to my mind. I am looking and I'm going through and seeing what I have. I'm working with another monitor that's flickering. But if Kayla allows, if we have a little bit of extra time and we have a packed um, day for you all, we may come back and see if we can actually achieve bingo. I'm going to give it over to Kayla Works to move into our next part of our meeting.
Of course. And teacher, now you already know we're gonna have to get this bingo card because if we do not, I will be sad. Okay, I want this bingo. So
We
I guess what we'll
actually, to
do
be
though.
honest, we only have one more thing and we actually will have bingo. So hopefully we can
Oh,
get it at one point.
well, bingo it is. It is coming. But before that, I get to introduce you all to one of the most amazing individuals that I know, Ryan Torgerson. He is going to take us through the journey of secure and retain by going over closing the deal, boosting club growth, and member conversion. Let's hand it on over to Ryan. Introduce yourself and come on down.
Perfect. Thank you, Kayla, and happy Saturday, everyone. My name is Ryan Torgerson. I'm a senior account executive at Unum. We are an employee benefits insurance company based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Portland, Maine. So I've been with Unum for 13 years. The majority of my career has been spent in sales. As a senior account executive, I'm primarily responsible for new business acquisition, but then also very importantly, customer and client retention as well. So really excited to be here with you all today and share some of the, I believe, transferable skills that I've learned over my career. I know in talking with Kayla, that you all have very audacious growth goals, as do I, as the years go on. And so these are just little things that I have learned, over the course of the career that have helped me boost my sales growth goals, as well as help with customer retention as well. And then first and foremost, before we get into the agenda of what I have to speak to, I do want to say I love the Mission Impossible theme. I am a little embarrassed that I haven't seen the new one yet, so I'm going to have to make it to the theaters here soon. But with that, I will go right in, and really, there's 5 key things that I wanted to share with you all today, and then of course leave some time for Q&A after that as well. But I think first and foremost, the 5 agenda items that I really wanted to share, when you're thinking about the sales process and you're thinking about growth and you're thinking about retention, 5 key concepts are: first and foremost, know your story. Second would be listen first, talk second. The third would be intentional. Be intentional in the sales process. Be intentional when you're having conversations with prospective members. The fourth would be to follow up strategically. And I think the key word there, of course, is strategic. You need to have a plan. You need to be organized. And then to round it all out, we're going to be talking about a little bit about retention as well. How to retain successfully, how to set yourself up for future success. So with that, I thought I would share a little bit more about, know your value, right? So I think at its core, it's really important to understand exactly what you're selling, right? So as an insurance salesperson, I sell life insurance, I sell disability insurance, I sell voluntary benefits. But those are the products that I'm selling, of course, but really at its core, what I'm selling is peace of mind. I am selling peace of mind to employees of companies that when something negatively impacts them financially, or when they have a life event that really impacts them from a financial perspective, that my company is going to be there at their time of need, right? And so I think when you start to reframe what you are selling or what you are talking to a prospective member about, it really makes all the difference in the world. So, instead of selling a product, think about, are you selling a solution to a need? Whether it's, instead of selling a membership, start to rethink it in the sense of what you are actually selling. And what you're selling is a community. You're selling a community of growth minded, like-minded individuals, a safe space for people to learn, for people to develop. That's what people are ultimately looking for. So instead of selling, at its core, a membership, what you're really selling is that experience. What you're really selling is that community. And that's the way that I've always thought about it. And when you start to reframe your mindset in that way, you become naturally more passionate, because it's noble work, right? I think many times if I've heard people talk when I've shared my career and what I do for a living. A lot of people say insurance, that's not that interesting, and that's fair. It's not always the most exciting thing, but it's noble. It's noble being able to make sure that we are protecting the American workforce in their time of needs. And so what you all are doing and the conversations that you all are and your growth objectives and your membership growth goals, that's noble work as well. And so when you think about it that way, you become more energized, you become more energetic. You become more passionate about what you are talking to, what you are selling, and people feed off of that. People feed off of that. People. That's how you create followership. And at the end of the day, when you're having those conversations and you're having them on a repeatedly daily basis, weekly basis, it's always very, very important to be grounded that what you're doing is important work, and to continue to be passionate about it. The second kind of tenet that I would talk about in the sales process as well is listen first, talk second. So there's always a misconception that when you're going into a sales call that you should be the one doing all of the talking, right? Could not be further from the truth. I think what I learned very early on in my sales career is that if you're the one that's doing all of the talking and you're not asking questions, you're probably not getting the response or the engagement that you really need in order to close the deal or in order to sign up that new member. So before I go into whether it's a final presentation to a customer or to a client, or I'm having an initial sales call, after quick introductions, really I start asking questions. Why is this person? Why is this customer? Why is this member engaging with me? What do they want to hear? What have their experiences been? Negative and positive? Is there something about their experience that I can fix? What are they looking for? What are they not looking for? Asking those questions and inviting people to begin engaging and empowering them to provide feedback is very, very important. And at the end of the day, as you keep getting more and more of that feedback, then you can tailor your presentation. You know exactly who you're talking to. You know your audience. So I think everyone knows what a bad sales experience looks like, right? I think this past Memorial Day, I went furniture shopping for the Memorial Day sales, and I remember going into like the furniture department store, and I was looking for a couch, and immediately like 5 furniture salespeople came out of the woodwork and just started talking to me about all their different furniture products, everything like that. They didn't even know what I was in there to buy. They didn't know what my style was. They had no idea what kind of couch that I was looking for, so on and so forth. So they really missed the mark. They were just there to just sell products without actually understanding what I was in there, what my need was. So I think it's always, of course, very, very important. Go in there when you're having a conversation, ask questions, get to know your audience first, because then that'll make your conversation, your engagement with that particular member all the more valuable for them. The third is be intentional. Anytime you go into a sales call or you have a call with a member, make sure that you are intentional. Have a plan of attack, execute on that plan as well. Before you go in, make sure that you have an agenda, and you know exactly what you want to accomplish, and make sure that you get there by the end of the call. And I think that objective that you have and that agenda that you have, that can be very different depending on what that conversation is. Whether it's at that call, you're looking to sign that member up and secure a membership. It could also just be, hey, I'm looking for engagement from this person so that I can have an additional follow-up, and I'm looking for a second follow-up. So every single call that you make, be intentional about what you're looking for and make sure that you secure it at the end of that call. And that objective could be different depending on where you are in that recruiting process. The other thing about being intentional as well is understanding the common objectives or objections that you get, right? Understanding what people have said to you in the past about why, maybe this membership might not be important to them at that time, or why they're not able to commit to it. Understanding the common objections that you have gotten, so that way you can go into that call and be prepared to discuss those and be prepared to overcome those. Now, certainly you don't want it to feel like it's very rehearsed, like you knew exactly what they were going to come back and tell you as far as things to consider, but very important, so that you are prepared to have that conversation, and that you're not flat-footed if they mention whether it's cost or whether it's time commitment, that you are prepared to discuss those. And as you get a new objection, make sure to write it down and make sure to understand it and log it away for future reference as well. I've been doing my job for 13 years. I do consider myself, pretty experienced in my industry. But at the same time, I think every week I get a new piece of information that I have never heard of before, that I need to research, or a new pain point for a customer that I need to solve that really is different than anything I've heard of. And so then you start writing those down, and you start understanding, you start seeing trends and patterns, and you're able to apply those to your future sales calls as well. And then the last part of that tenet, I would say, and this is really important, don't be afraid to ask for whether it's their business or their membership, right? At the very end of it, if you're having a good conversation, make sure when you close that conversation, make sure that you either ask them for that follow-up call or ask them for their membership. Again, you're there intentionally, you're there with a purpose. A lot of people feel very uncomfortable about making that ask at the very end, but that's exactly what you're there to do. So make sure that you ask for their business, you ask for their membership. The fourth one to talk about is follow-ups, and this might actually be the most important one. So I don't think that I have ever sold a piece of business where I have not followed up, and usually it's the second, the third, the fourth follow-up. And it's a fine line. You want to be strategic in your follow-ups. You certainly do not want to pester the member or the prospective member. You don't want to annoy them. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are staying top of mind, right? And there's an art to that. So the way that I have always approached my business is, after I have an initial sales call, I will wait about 24 hours or so, and then I will send, whether it's an email, whether it's a call, just to leave them a voicemail. I'll thank them for their time. If there was a specific question that they asked that I can respond to easily, or if they had any additional information that they wanted me or you to provide, I would link it there to either the email, or send it to them, or just provide them with a little bit more information. I think it is very important, though, that based on everything that you discussed at that initial call with that member, that you don't share everything in that first follow-up. You want to make sure that you still reserve some items so that you can follow up on that second time, that third time. Every time that you make a follow-up, you want to make sure that you are giving them new information to engage with you. So the way that I've always done it to organize myself is within Outlook, or my email inbox, I will create tasks. I will create calendar reminders to make sure that I follow up. And then I'm very consistent. I dedicate a portion of every single day to follow-ups on different customers. So I always do my follow-ups 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every single morning. And I do that because I know that that's when people are clocking into work. And I want my email to be the first thing that they see when they log in. And so that's what I do. And I'm very, very consistent with it. So I do it every single day, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So find something that works for you from a follow-up perspective. Make sure that you dedicate the appropriate amount of time. It's like going to the gym, right? You need to have a plan, otherwise you're never going to go there. So you need to make sure that you dedicate the time to do it. And then the last thing that I would say is as it relates to retention, right? So once you sell a member, once you sign up a new member, Your job doesn't end there. When I make a sale, my job doesn't end there as well. They're now my customer, and I'm responsible for them. I'm responsible for their experience with my company. And so when you sign up a new member, really at that point, you've sold them a community. You've sold them an experience. You want to make sure that you are having regular check-ins with that individual. And I think at that point, it's really important to empower them to provide feedback. What's working well? What could potentially be improved on? Do they have any advice or any feedback that they can give you? And then that way, that not only creates followership, but that also creates ownership. So it creates ownership for them to feel like they are truly an owner of that community, an owner of that process. And so that way, if something occurs where they're not exactly happy with something that's going on, or they have a pain point, then they feel like it's on them as well to help resolve it, because they are an active member of that community, and it's not just on let's say the district leaders to figure it out for them. Everyone has common ownership. And so when you're doing that, and when you're having regular check-ins with people, at the end of the day, it makes retaining membership all that easier, because they know that their opinion is valued. They hear you. They know that you are checking in with them regularly, and so that's a really key part of retention as well. So with that, and really just to kind of recap the 5 things that I discussed here. So again, I would say when you're thinking about your sales process and your prospective members, know your value, know your purpose, listen first, talk second, be intentional, follow up strategically. And I think, again, the key word there is strategically. It's not just doing the follow up to follow up, making sure that you're strategic in there, and then empower to retain. That is, I think, the 5 really key items in the sales process and from a retention perspective. So with that, Kayla, I think those were my prepared remarks. Not sure if there's any questions, but happy to take those.
I bet there's going to be some questions. Do we have some questions for Ryan? Because I think he came ready to prepare us. If you do not see that, he is an amazing individual that is very consistent, concise, and he's not kidding about those 8 to 9 a.m. emails. And now that I've thought about it, he does do that.
I have a question.
Oh.
Luann.
Yes, Luann.
I'm wondering how long you persist when you're doing your follow-up within the 24 hours. It's just following up on everybody that you're bringing forward, or just the ones that you have a feeling are going to continue from, just say, the last 24 hours?
That's a great question. So I would say any conversation that you have, and again, I can really speak to my experience from in the business that I'm in, but any conversation that you have, I always think it's important to send a quick follow up, and that's why I think that's why I think it should be quick. You don't want to waste your time, especially if it's a prospective member that you're not sure if they really understood what you were there to talk about, or they really engage with you. I still think it's important to let them know, hey, really appreciate your time. Thank you again. I enjoyed the conversation. At the end of the day, just to make sure that they have your contact information. But I think that's why that initial follow-up, you want to make it short, you want to make it sweet, so that you don't waste your time on an individual that might not be buying what you're selling, quite honestly. But then when they do engage, or when you do have a member that is more interested, or that you're getting that engagement, that you're getting that enthusiasm from them, that's when that second follow-up becomes even more important, where you provide them with some new information that you can drop in the whether it's an email or a voicemail. So does that answer your question, Luann?
A bit.
Yep.
I just didn't know. Sometimes I have found it helpful to get the sign-in book of people who have actually visited, and go back, say, months later, and see how things are. And sometimes they give me the progress. Most of the time, it's too busy a schedule, or they don't have the money at the time and they don't want to start it and quit it. So then I just keep those in mind and let the rest of them go.
Sure. Yeah, that's great.
Because I have found that, especially if I've written an article for the newspaper, sometimes people, this is with cluttering. I've worked with people who do cluttering work, not workshops, a meeting where we help them over it, over the humps. And then also with membership is to find that maybe 3 years later they come into a meeting with this article folded up in their billfold.
Yeah.
So you don't know how long that's just kind of in their mind. And then
Julian,
you
I do
get
have to
whatever
keep
you're
us
going to get
moving.
from it.
I'm sorry. We have Nick and we have four more people, and then but any follow-up questions, I can send them to Ryan later. I'm sorry, guys. Running short. Nick.
Thanks, Kayla, and thanks, Ryan. I'm curious, what kind of pacing should I follow between follow-ups? I imagine the distance and time between the first and second follow-up is shorter than, say, like the third and fourth.
Yeah.
I'm not going to follow up, the next day with my second follow-up. Is that right? Or how long should I wait for the third follow-up, for instance?
Yeah, and I think I think it can be different depending on again your engagement, your read on that member and how they interacted with you and their excitement about the information or even what they've requested. I would say the initial follow up always within the first 24 hours. The second follow up, I would say take another 3 days. 3 days or so, drop them another line, whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call. So 24 hours, 3 days. I would then send the third follow up, really at the start of the next week. So after 7 days or so. And then from there, depending on what engagement you're getting, if you are getting any responses, any feedback, then I would, wait another month or so, and then that would be your fourth follow up. But I think it's important to always have a fairly consistent plan of when you're going to follow up, and that's why I think it's important to always find different creative ways to follow up so that every time that you're sending, whether it's an email or whether it's a voicemail, you're always giving that member some new piece of information, something new that they haven't gotten from you before, whether it's from that initial sales call or it's even just marketing materials that you have to let them know. So that's the cadence that I follow up on. And so that would be my advice, my recommendation on that.
Great. That perfectly answered my question. Thanks.
Got one from Ruthie.
Okay, I have a question about if you can give me a suggestion on how to follow up with an individual that was a prior Toastmaster club member. I'm trying to persuade this individual to come back.
Sure.
And they are stating that they're very busy, but I know them personally. So can you give me tips on how to proceed with that one?
Yeah, I would say, and I think that's where, really asking those questions first and understanding is key. So obviously they had been a member of Toastmasters. So at one point they found significant value in Toastmasters. Now, whether that was a time commitment, whether that was a financial commitment, whatever reason it was, they dropped their membership, right? And so I think in order for you to be more proactive and more targeted in your follow up, I would suggest to have a conversation with them and to understand exactly where they found that initial value in Toastmasters. What made them initially sign up for it? What was the experience that they had? And conversely, what was the rationale for them dropping out? Was it if it was time commitment? I think you'll know exactly how to proceed with your follow-ups as far as letting them know, if you do have any flexibility potentially in the timing of meetings that you have scheduled, or if there's any new initiatives that you have that could help them from a timing perspective. But at the end of the day, it's what you all are doing, and the meetings that you have and the trainings that you have are important, and they take time. And so it's important for you to reinforce that there is value in the time that they are spending there. So I think at the end of the day, it's good to have a conversation like that with a prior member, because they've already been sold on it. They've already found value in that membership. You just need to find a creative way to make sure that you can help them get back into their membership.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Really good one. Ryan, they actually gave you another good one in the chat too. Tabitha Marks. Her question is, how do you balance work-life rhythm when you make yourself available 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.?
When you make yourself available, how do you balance work-life rhythm when you make yourself available 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.? Yeah, so that's a great question. I think it's something that we're all trying to figure out, right? And especially with, like the virtual digital age that we're in right now, we're all very accessible all the time, whether it's through our phones, whether it's through Zoom, Teams, chats, all of that. I would say what you need to do, I think it's very important to, when you're planning your day, always make sure that you have a set agenda on tasks that you want to accomplish during that particular day. So for instance, when I'm setting up my day, I know 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every single day for that 1 hour. I have it completely blocked out where I am going to dedicate all of that to follow-ups, right? And then once that 9 a.m. Clock has started, then at that point, I'm taking care of either those days' problems or yesterday's issues, right? And so making sure that I then dedicate, a couple of hours during the day to making sure that I get done what I need to get done during that time. But then when you're thinking about work-life balance, right? I think it's equally as important once you're done with your job, or once you're done with the work that you're doing at Toastmasters, you need to make sure just as important as you're doing it with your professional schedule, that you're also creating time specifically for yourself within that day, whether it's this is whether it's something that you're doing with your kids, or whether it's something that you're doing going to the gym or fitness, or something, going for a walk, anything like that you value personally. I think it's important to make sure that you are carving out and having a specific time during the day to make sure that you are still doing that even in the midst of your busy work life.
That was really, really good. In essence of time, Saya and then Steve, you'll just take it away and we'll close this on out.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan, for the guidance. My question is, and this will never happen, but how do you get over the hump of not closing the deal?
It's a great question, and I also I love when you say that it's never gonna happen. That's a great attitude to have. I love it. Yeah, I think that the key with that is it's persistency. It's persistency, and I think my initial tenant that I talked about, where it's know your purpose, know the value of what you're selling. I think that's when it becomes really important, because when you're grounded on how noble your mission is, and I've read about your organization, what you all sell from a membership perspective, it really is incredible, the opportunity that you're providing to members. And so I think at the end of the day, it's always important to make sure that you're reinforcing to yourself that what you are doing and the conversations that you're having are so important, and people need to hear it. People want to hear it. People need to hear it. They just might not have ever been, accessed in that way before. They've never had outreach like that before. So I think it's always important when you're getting into a situation where you've made a couple of sales calls or a couple of member calls and they haven't gone very well, or you haven't gotten them to sign up, and that happens to me all the time as well. I think it's really, really important to just understand to keep yourself grounded on the value of what you are doing, and to know that there's a lot of people out there that want to hear your message, and it's just finding the right person at the right time, right? And sometimes that conversation that you have where they don't sign up for it, to Luann's point, maybe in a year or 2 years, they're a member. They come back. Maybe it's just not the right time for them at that point. But so there are so many customers that I've talked to 5, 6, 7 years ago, that my company wasn't a good fit for at that time, but they're now current customers. So it's always important to just stay positive, stay energetic, and passionate about what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a couple comments and kind of questions here, but I was really intrigued when you said at first you leave something to tell them on the second call, the third call, the fourth call, because I guess I've been guilty of trying to give them the whole package when they come in the room, so they'll have everything when they leave that first time.
Sure.
And I guess I can see how that could be overwhelming. So I guess the question in that is, how do I edit myself when I'm talking to someone the first time? Because I'm very enthusiastic about Toastmasters, and I just want to unload all this stuff on them, but it's probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah, and it's not it's a great question, and I think as you get more comfortable, you can start like fine-tuning what works well for you, as well. I would say, when you're having that initial conversation, think about it this way: if you're having that initial conversation, make sure that they have a good understanding of what Toastmaster is and all that the membership will provide them, right? But then on that second follow-up, when you're having that conversation, if they've engaged with you on a specific initiative within Toastmasters, or they had some questions regarding that specific experience that you're selling within the Toastmasters membership, I think at that point, that's when you can hone in on that and send that to them specifically, and you can isolate that and provide them with more information like that. It's very important that when you're doing that, that's why at the end of the day, what you don't want to do or what you want to avoid is exactly what you said, where you're just dumping all of the information at them, and then they've got so much on their plate, and it's all really great information, but they might not read it all right then, or they might not access it all right then. So everyone consumes information in little bits, right? Because we're all super busy. Our bandwidth is, we only have a small amount of time in the day. So that's why it's really important to kind of segment out your follow-ups and get creative with, hey, this is how I want to send it. This is when I want to send it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys, do you think we can give Ryan a big round of applause? Like, that was Carol instantly. Yeah, Ryan, as always, you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for showing us your craft and staying with us today and joining us early. And he's not a Toastmaster, but he is probably one of the most active individuals I've ever seen when it comes down to helping others. So I just wanted to say thank you, and we love that you came today.
Well, thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Thank you for having me.
Bye, Ryan.
Bye.
Okay. So, Red Rover, who are we gonna bring over? Y'all excited? Stacy,
Hardly.
take it away.
All right. Thank you, Kayla. Let me see if I can share my screen with you very quick. All right. I I'm so glad to see everybody here this morning. This is absolutely fantastic. I noticed we had 104 logins, and I know some of those are various things, but that is absolutely fantastic. So, welcome to everybody. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're super excited. I hope you have as many questions about this as you did about our first speaker. That was fantastic. If you want to put questions in chat, please feel free to do so. If you want to save them at the end, you can do that as well. If you want to interrupt me in the middle, that's fine. Kayla, help me watch the chat because all I can see when I'm doing this is my screen. So I can't see everybody else. Today, we're going to talk about the Distinguished Club Program. And I know some of you, a lot of you probably, if you've been officers before, you have completed the Club Success Plan. You've written out your goals. In the last couple of years, we kind of emphasized that, and you've probably done that. But this year, it's even more important. So let's talk about it. Hang on. There you go. In this session, we're going to hopefully recognize the Distinguished Club Program, the DCP, and what goes into it. What are the requirements of me as an officer and also of my club? And then, actually, what benefit do I get out of it? Why should I do it? I mean, really, is it that important? Let's talk about that. As a club officer, what goals do you have for your club? Anybody want to just unmute and tell me? As a club officer, and I'm not talking about Toastmasters goals, I'm talking about you as a club officer. What goals do you have for your club? Anybody?
We have one from Lucas. Lucas, come on down.
Yes. So, like my president, Heather, and me, we want to grow our membership. Not only help them, but become a distinguished level Toastmasters club overall. That's our goal.
All right. That's awesome. Gail.
Hi, we want to grow our club too, but we want to make sure that we maintain a high quality so that when people join, they have a great experience. They are meeting the goals that they set for themselves.
All right. That's good. That is very good. I came up with a couple of them just very basic. I want enough members to fill all the club roles that we have during a meeting because, some of us get really tired filling two and three meeting roles, right? So I don't want anybody to burn out. And I also want enough members to survive, to ensure that our club survives and thrives. So that's exactly what we're talking about. How about as a club member, just as a member itself? Do you have any goals for your club? Why did you join Toastmasters? What's your goal for your club? Sharon, yes.
One goal I have for our club is to stick to the timeline. When
There you
you've been
go.
together for a while, I think you get a little lackadaisical at sticking to the schedule. And new members, if they think that the meeting's supposed to be done at 8 p.m. and it's not, that could turn them off, our visitors.
Ah, absolutely. That's good. I like that. Matthew Smith. Matthew, did you have a comment?
I did, and I apologize. I didn't realize I was still muted.
That's okay. What was your comment?
To be supportive of the members. I know when I first joined Toastmasters, I would literally break out into hives when I was trying to speak, and having those people support me helped me get to a place where I was comfortable with speaking again. And I want to make sure those new folks coming in realize that we're not there to tell them what you did wrong. It's you're doing amazing, and supporting them through their journey so they can get over those things that may have crippled them at a point in time also.
All right. That's fantastic. That's good. I like that. Jeff Martindale, what's your goal for your club?
I would like to see more of a variety of people who are speaking at the club. Perhaps a lot of your clubs are the same way, where a lot of the same people are the ones giving speeches, week after week. And, given the size of the club, I'd like to see, some of the new folks who may be a little more hesitant to speak, step up and participate in that way.
All right. That's great. I love that. Absolutely. Atoya, is it?
Yes, I was going to add that one of our goals is to really get our mentor program really off the ground by helping our members in a meeting with them in the beginning to help them navigate. That seems like the part of a big gap, the website, understanding the pathways, and that mentorship is pretty important when we get our first members.
All right. That's great. Fantastic mentorship. Ruthie.
I would like for our club to increase our membership so that it will not be such a strain on our current club members to have to perform multiple duties during our meetings.
Absolutely. That is a fantastic goal. And I think, yeah,
Speakers.
I think that is a goal that probably every club in our district shares, probably every club throughout the world. A couple of them that I came up with just as a basic member, maybe who's just starting out. I want to learn to be a better speaker and get over my fear of speaking. I don't want to be embarrassed, and I want to have fun while I'm learning. So those are some goals that I might have as a brand new member entering my club. So let's see if we can get to there. Everybody has goals for their club, so let's see how we implement them. Purpose of the DCP, this is important. Number one is to recognize the club excellence, measure success. How successful are you being? How successful is the district? This helps the district as well as helping individual clubs. We want a roadmap for improvement. So it helps us focus on where we need to implement certain changes. Maybe we need to make improvements, and maybe that is in how we approach new members, or maybe that is in how we do follow up. But if we don't know that's where we have an issue, then we don't know what to focus on and improve. The purpose is to foster member development. Speaking and leading, we want them to be able to achieve their goals. So that's one of the purposes of the DCP. We want to encourage club health. Allocation of resources. So the district uses the information that we put into the DCP in order to decide where do we need to allocate different resources? Where do we need to send folks to help? Maybe a club needs a coach, or maybe a brand new club needs a mentor or a sponsor. Where do we allocate our resources? And then finally, to measure progress and achievement in order to motivate our members to do better, in order to motivate our members to get in there, work hard, give speeches, encourage more people to join, that kind of thing. So there's some very specific purposes for the DCP. Now, this is important. In order to be, and you know this, if you've been an officer before, in order to be a distinguished club, you first have to be a club in good standing. And anybody remember what a club in good standing entails? What does good standing mean? Anybody? To be
At
a club
least
in good,
8 members. At
there
least
you
eight
go.
members.
A minimum of 8 members. Yes, absolutely. And oh yeah, by the way, there's a note on that. At least 3 of those 8 have to be returning members. They have to have been members the last time you did that. And that's really important. So minimum of 8 members. You also have to turn in your club officer list by June 30th. Has everybody done that? Because that will give you credit on next year's DCP. If you've not turned in your club officer list, you're going to miss that point automatically. So make sure you turn in your club officer list. And you have to turn in dues on time for at least a member, that number of 8 with 3 returning members. You have to turn in dues on time. And we do dues, remember, on the, what is it, September 30th and March 31st. Those are our deadlines for dues. Okay. Now here's number 3, and this one is big. Well, number 2 is you got to have 20 members or a net growth of 3. Now, net growth, that always throws everybody off because that's a big deal. If you have 15 members and 3 of them leave, you have to make up those 3 plus an additional 3. So 6, a net growth of 3 over the number that you started the year with. Okay. Now, number 3, and this is important. This is probably the most important thing you'll write down on the club growth plan today. So please make sure you do this. You have to submit a club success plan by September 30th. Now, in the past, we've handed it out, we've talked about it, but it's been an option as to whether or not clubs wanted to use the club success plan. It's a tool. This year, they're making it a go, no go. If you do not turn in your club success plan, that means fill it out and enter it into the Toastmasters International website. Then it doesn't matter if you have 50 members and if you achieve 10 goals all 10 times, it doesn't matter. All your educational goals doesn't make any difference because you missed this one goal. This is like not being in good standing. You absolutely have to fill out the club success plan and turn it in by September 30th. Now, I recommend that you do not wait until September 30th. Back that up. Let's fill that out in July as soon as you can. Get your officers together, fill out the club success plan, and go ahead and enter it in the Toastmasters website. For one thing, that plan You can then share with your area director, who will use it to make the area plan. The division will make the division plan, and the district will make the district plan. So filling it out early gives them plenty of time to use your plan in their plan. Okay. All right. So here's the program. DCP programs laid out very simply. We want to collect information. Where do we need to make changes? What do we need to do? How are we doing? We want to develop our club success plan. That's second. We want to monitor that plan to make sure that it's working and make changes on it if it is not. And that's how we reach a successful club. That's how we get to sustainable. So let's start with our collecting data. Moments of truth. Everybody has heard about moments of truth. This is something that we encourage the clubs to do every year. It is a question on the DCP. When was the last time your club did the moments of truth, and how did it go? What areas did you find you need to work on? It covers first impressions of your club. If a new member walks in, what did they think when they first walked in? Were you friendly? Were you easy to find? All that other good stuff. Membership orientation. How did you do when you orient new members? Fellowship, variety, communication, planning. These are all the things that you find in moments of truth. New member survey. We got two tools, new member survey and member interest survey. Do you remember Ryan in his speech at the beginning of our session talked about empowering your members and your visitors to provide feedback? Empower your new members and also empower your current members. Provide feedback to the club as to how we're doing. What are we accomplishing? All of these two tools right here help you collect that information in moments of truth about first impressions, fellowship, all that other good stuff. These are two really good tools that you can use to do that. I suggest you survey every new member and then go back and survey member interest. Maybe do half your members at the beginning of the year and half of them in the middle of the year. That'll keep everybody from having to do it multiple times, but it will provide you some really good feedback. You will be amazed. Sometimes you think you're doing really, really well at something, and some of your club members may not think you're doing that well. So it's going to be really interesting. All right. Now we're going to develop our plan because we've got our information. We know where we're going. We know what we need to do. Here are some of the questions that you're going to run into on the club success plan. What are the executive committee values? How will decisions be made? Some of these you say, well, that's common sense. Everybody knows that. But as the president of the club, I may think decisions are going to be made by me making the decisions and telling you guys what they are. And you may be saying, well, wait a minute, I thought we were going to do multiple voting. And, the VPE of education may be saying, well, wait a minute, I thought the majority rules. How are we going to do? Okay, we need to figure that out in the beginning so we won't have any issues later on. How are we going to make decisions? How are we going to resolve differences of opinion? Because those do happen within the club and within the district. How are we going to do that? How are we going to work together with each other? Are we going to need to bring in somebody maybe to help us work through some of these issues? Who's that going to be? How are we going to work that out? So these are some basic questions on the DCP. It's on the club success plan. It's mostly to get you thinking about those things now instead of waiting until it happens and now you're in a panic because you need to fix it. So these are some of the questions you'll run into on the club success plan. You should be, if you are a club officer, have been a club officer before, you should be familiar with this particular list. Toastmasters gives us 10 goals every single year. They're usually the same types of goals. The first 6 are education goals. These are pathways, level 1s, level 2s, level 3s. You'll see it has a number out there. This is how many you need in order to be distinguished. 4 level 1s, 2 level 2s, another 2 level 2s. So that's 4 level 2s. Level 3s, level 4s. These are the first 6 goals, and they're all educational goals for all of the members of your club. Next 2 are membership goals. This is adding 4 members and then another 4 members. Notice it says new, dual, and reinstating. It does not say transfer members. Transfer members do not necessarily count in this category. So if you have somebody transfer over from another club, that's great. That gives you 1 more member, but it doesn't count toward your goal. Training and administration, that is summer TLI, which is what you're at right now. So that's the first checkbox on that particular one. And winter TLI, which will come along in November, December, January timeframe with all the makeups. And then finally, payment of dues and club officer submission. That's the 2 main things that we are talking about. We talked about earlier. Submit your club officer list before June 30th. Don't forget. And it will count on next year's goals. All right. Remember, qualifying requirements. You have to be in good standing. You have to be at 20 members or a net growth of 3. and have to fill out and submit the club success plan by June 30th. Those are qualifying requirements. If you don't meet them, then it doesn't matter what else you do, you can't be distinguished for next year. So that's really important. Now that I've got my club success plan filled out, what do I do with it? Well, I go to Toastmasters International website and I log in. I have to be an officer of the club and I have to log in order to be able to do this. Scroll down to Club Central, and I'm sure you guys have seen this. Scroll down to Club Central and click on that, and then scroll down and you'll see Club Success Plan. Click there. This is an automated program. It'll bring up several options for you there, for you to fill out, for you to print it off in PDF, for you to track it occasionally and go back and see what it's doing. Now remember, this is a plan. It's not set in stone. I may put Kayla down for 16 speeches next year, and Kayla says, "Wow, I can't do 16." That's okay. I need to go in and modify that. I need to go back to this program and change that up a little bit. Maybe put somebody down for their share of speeches. How's that? It's very simple. When I first go into it, this is what it looks like. Club Success Plan. Here's the plan, and then I got an action item list. Click on each one of these. Committee values is what we talked about just a minute ago. How's your committee going to work together? How are you going to resolve differences? Administration is how are you going to collect dues? How are you going to turn in the club officer list? There's training, membership, education. Each of those is here. Each one of them, you get to fill out a little sentence or two. You can copy and paste from what you already have. If you already did your document in, say, Word or Excel or however you want to do your document, it doesn't make any difference. When you bring it here, you can cut and paste it into here. It also has your action item list. So for instance, this particular one is for dues renewal, and you put in the owner, which is probably your treasurer. What's the start date? What's the end date? And what resources might they need in order to be able to complete that? It's very easy to fill out. You save it at the end. You can print it. You can download it. As I said, you can go back to it and make modifications to it. It's very easy to do. So now that we've got our club success plan entered before September 30th, what do we do then? Well, we need to look at it occasionally, make sure that we are actually accomplishing those goals. One of the things that you do in the club success plan is that you list the members of your club who are going to achieve the educational goals. So if I have 4 people working on level 1s, I want to put down who are their names and when will they accomplish those goals. Here's very important. When you put your club success plan together before you enter it in Toastmasters, take it back to your club and make sure your club members agree to that. If I volunteered Carol, for instance, to do a level 1, I want to make sure Carol knows that I volunteered her for a level 1. I want to make sure that she agrees to that and she feels like she can make it. If she says, no, I can't do that this year, okay, that's fine. I need another person to step up and volunteer to do a level 1. So make sure you talk to your club about it before you enter it. All right, now we want to monitor it. It's very simple to monitor. I don't even have to log in. I can just go straight to my Toastmasters International website, click on membership. When the next screen pops up, I click on Leadership Central. They're in the little ribbons. And then I scroll down and I click on Distinguished Performance Reports. This brings us to what we call the dashboard. Make sure you put in District 63 because technically you can look up any other district you want to look up. If you just want to play around in there and see how other districts are doing, you're welcome to go there and do that. Put in District 63, that's us. Make sure the year is there. 2024, 2025 is this year. So you'll put in 2025, 2026 for next year. It's a drop down box. You can go forward, backward. You can see how we did 10 years ago if you want to. So make sure you put in the correct year and the month. Make sure the month is up to date. So this one says July of 2024, 2025. That was where we were at the time that I did this screen print. We had 52 active clubs. So you can kind of see what was going on at that particular time. If I click below that, I can go to the area. I can see each division and each area and all of the clubs. I can go below that and I can see a specific club. This is one that I pulled up for a specific club. I took out the club name, but it gives you the name and the number. It tells you when it was chartered, and it tells you where are you on the goals. It gives you all 10 of those goals. It tells you how many of you met, how many you need to meet. This is a good way to monitor where you are against those goals. All right. Now, here's one more change for this year. You know, in the past, it said in order to be a distinguished club, you have to meet 5 of those goals. And this year, you have to have a net growth of 3, meet 5 goals, and submit your club success plan. To be select distinguished, 7 of those goals, net growth of 3, and submit your club success plan. To be president's distinguished, 20 members. You see that? A total of 20 members, not a net growth of 3, a total of 20 members. You have to meet 9 goals and submit your club success plan. Here is a new category they've entered for those clubs that are consistently meet President's Distinguished year after year. They want to challenge you a little bit. So to be Smedley Distinguished, you have to have 25 members, not a net growth of 3. You have to have 25 members. You have to meet all 10 goals and submit your club success plan, and you'll be Smedley Distinguished. So that's a new goal for everybody to work toward. All right, how else can I monitor? I can go to Basecamp, log in as an officer, go to Basecamp. I can click on, now when you go into Basecamp, it automatically brings you up to your stuff. So you'll need to click on Base Club Manager. See where the red arrow is pointing? And you will see, first of all, approvals, any approvals that are pending or any approvals that have been done for your club. You'll see them here. Where members have submitted an educational goal and you have approved it. You will then, if you click on member overview, you can see each of your members. You can see where they are at currently, what are they working on, which plans are they in, which paths are they working on, and where are they at, level 1, level 2, level 3. You can also see, if you want to see paths in progress within your club, you can see how many people are working on presentation mastery, visual communications. Are they on level 1s, level 2s? Where are you at? As a club officer, especially the VPE, this will help you plan who needs to give speeches, when do they need to do that, who do I need to help? All right. Continue to do new member surveys and the member interest surveys. Remember those. Those are important because it gives your club feedback, but it also gives you information on how your club is doing. So make sure that you repeat those. And we keep that loop going. We filled out our plan, we monitored it. Oh, we need to make changes. Then let's go correct our plan. Don't just let it sit there and be static. Correct your plan, keep monitoring it, see how it's going. It just goes in a circle. And we have got to sustainable club. We have succeeded in what we set out to do. All right, benefits of the DC pre-program. Remember, enhanced membership experience. That's the goal, right? Because if we enhance their experience, then they're more likely to stay and we're more likely to get new members. Increased engagement, structured approach to goal setting, improved club health, which is really what we want, recognition, motivation. How about for individual members? Well, they've improved their leadership and communication skills, which is what they set out to do. They've gained in confidence, which is something that all of us, I think, probably was surprised by, but that's something that you get as a part of this program too. Personal growth, networking opportunities, enhanced career. By the way, this would be a really good thing to tell maybe some of your club members who aren't too up on being distinguished. Why do I need to be distinguished? What difference does it make? I like my club just the way it is. Well, here's some things that you're going to gain by doing this program and by becoming a distinguished club. All right. Questions, comments, anything like that we want to address at this time? Anybody have any questions or any comments that you want to add? Matt Zellers.
Thanks for presenting. I always love when you're on here presenting. My Toastmaster mentor, thank you. But I would offer what we did when we did our first club success plan is that we had a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out, like we knew what we wanted to do, but we couldn't figure out how to put it into words. What I found is that if you have your core concepts and you're worried about how it reads, we used AI to support some of the writing portion of it. So not encouraging everyone to just type out, please give me a club success plan, chat GPT. But if you're saying at the end of it, we want to be a distinguished club and meet 5 of our 10 goals, and something about leadership and something about this, it can help put it into words to make it more accessible and understandable for your club. So we use that and found success.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. For those of you who don't know, Matt was the president of the Scenic City Toastmasters Amazon Club who chartered this year and was distinguished this year. So congratulations to them. Thank you for that feedback, Matt. Tina, yes, Tina.
Two questions, just clarifying. Once we reach 20, once we're required to get 20 members, we will always need 20 members, correct?
That is not correct. Now, a lot of clubs reach 20 and then maybe you lose a few folks and you drop below that. The requirement is that you have a net growth of 3 to be distinguished. So if you get to 20 and you can keep 20, then you don't have to worry about, because you'll always have that membership goal achieved. You know, you've got membership, you don't have to worry about membership. Now you go worry about the other things like getting new members or replacing those that are lost or doing your pathways levels, those kinds of things. If you had 20 and you lost down to maybe 15, then you'd need to make those back up. Or if you have to have at least a net growth of 3. Okay.
So if you're saying if we drop to 15, will we then need 18?
You would, okay. Now
Or do
let's
you
say
need to bring, because we currently have 19.
all right, let me tell you.
So
If you start this year with 20 members and you drop down to 15 during the year, you would need to get back up to 20, because remember, it's a net growth of 3. You have to make up the ones you lost. So you'd have to get back to 20. If you're starting next year with 19, then all you need is one more member to get to 20, but you need to keep those all 19. Or if you lose some of them, you need to make them back up. Does that make sense?
That does. Okay, so that does make sense, but it's still in my mind that we still need 20, because if we drop 15, we need to gain those 5 plus 3 more, which there's really no 3 more because of the 20.
Well, okay, let's look at it another way. Let's say your club
10.
only.
Let's say 10.
Your club had 10 members starting this year. You would need 13 to be distinguished. If you lost one or two, if you lost 5, you'd have to make up those 5 plus another 3. Okay. That makes sense.
That does make sense. So it seems like we're always going to have 20 moving forward, because we're at 19. The other thing I have, what do you think about surveying our past members with the members of truth questions?
Absolutely. I think that would be an excellent suggestion. If you can get your past members to participate and give you feedback, that's going to give you vital information. It maybe even tell you why they left your club, and maybe help you determine how can you get them back. So that's a really good suggestion. Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tina. Jeff Martindale.
Yeah, great presentation, Stacey. I really like the way that you had the screenshots of the website and going through, click here, click there. For those for those who are new officers, are those type screens visible to select officers only, or do all officers have the visibility? Like, for example, when you're looking at your base camp and you see the members and where they are, their pathways and so forth.
That's a good question. There's only certain officers who can approve levels once they're achieved. The president, the VP of education, and the secretary can approve another member's level, but all the officers should be able to go in there and look. So you should be able to just view it with no problem. Matt Zellers.
I'd like to offer a thought on getting new members and understanding all that. The way that we did it for our club, again, a corporate Amazon club, is part of our normal daily thing as we talk about attendance and attrition with our associate population. We apply that same mentality to our club, knowing that if we have this many members and this many show up, we have an attendance assumption. We normally get about 10 people to show up to a club. The highest was 13 and the lowest was 7. What we also know is last year we had 4 members either transfer to a new building, so they moved on to a different club. So for us, we are planning on losing 4 members this year already. So I think I would encourage clubs to look back at especially we've only got 1 year in, but if you have more than 1 year in, take the average of what you've lost over the past years and just assume you will lose that many to start this year. So you're already starting, if you have 20 and you lose 5 every year, assume you have 15 right now. And that way you understand your goal into the future a little bit easier. So we turn it into essentially a move for solving for total net new members.
Oh, that's a great suggestion, Matt. I like that. So you're already making the assumption you're going to lose one or two because life happens. People leave for whatever reason. Make sure that you're already planning to replace those members. Nick Sager.
Hi. Wow. Sorry. Couldn't find the mute button. I guess, yeah. Um, in one of your slides where you showed the overall flow of the DCP program, like collect,
Mhm.
develop, and monitor, you had a line that went back to modify and update. Maybe you mentioned this already and I missed it. What kind of frequency would you recommend that officers do that smaller loop of modify and update? Like, is that something
Okay.
that every officer meeting, once a quarter? Like, how often might we review that to see if we're on track or off track?
I would say at least quarterly. Take a look at it, see how you're doing. You can go in, of course, on the dashboard that we talked about in the Toastmasters International website and see how you're doing at any time, multiple times. You can do it every day if you want to, but that's just to sort of see how we're doing and where we may need to make improvements. I would probably go back and look at updating my plan or the need to update my plan, at least say quarterly. A lot of clubs only have quarterly officer meetings, so that would be a good time to regroup, see where we're at, see how everybody's doing, check with their members and make sure they're on track. And then if I need to, go in and update the plan. So I'd say quarterly at least.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Who else do we have, Kayla?
We have Nisharel. And I will need Nisharel actually when she finishes to change her name. Otherwise, y'all will start putting all themselves in breakout rooms. The second part,
Okay.
just forewarning everybody right now.
All right. Miss Sherelle, do you have a question or a comment?
And she is on mute.
Okay, yes, I have a question. I got confused on the distinguished membership requirement.
Okay.
So if we're already at 20, I don't need a growth of 3, right? I just need to maintain my 20.
That's exactly right. If you're already at 20, all you need to do, unless you want to be Smedley distinguished, all you need to do is maintain that 20. So if you lose 2 or
Okay.
3, you need to make sure you're making up those 2 or 3. If you lose 1 or 2 every year, then go ahead and assume, as Matt said, that you need to make up that 1 or 2. So you're still going to have to get a few new members in. But yes, if you're at 20, all you need to do is make sure that you stay at 20 or go to 25 if you want to be Smedley distinguished.
And what do y'all want me to change my name to?
I think you put your name, you put
Uh-huh.
you put your office that you're holding in your club. So club
Okay.
president, VPE, education, whatever, and the name of your club.
All right, thanks.
All right,
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Any other questions or comments anybody has? You will be working on your club success plan later in this meeting. If several of your club members are here, you'll work as a club. Maybe you will combine a couple of clubs together. If not, your whole membership is not here. So we won't leave you out there by yourself doing your club success plan. For this particular presentation, I've added links to all the things that you'll need: the moments of truth, the member interest survey, the new member survey, the club success plan itself. That's the PDF document, fillable PDF document that you can use. Again, you can use a spreadsheet. You can use anything else that helps you track where your members are and where you need them to be. And then also a link to the dashboard so that you can go see how your club is doing. Also, I've included some best practices because this is something Toastmasters did have out there. They did surveys of all the clubs and they found some best practices of where your club may be having issues. So when you do your new member survey and membership surveys and you find out that you maybe are having some challenges with getting guests, they're showing up, but they're not joining, here's some suggestions that the Toastmasters over the years have come up with. Here's some possible causes and recommended actions that might help. And that includes evaluations, maybe club evaluations for, we're talking about speech evaluations, challenges, maybe membership achievement. Nobody's working the program. Nobody's going in and entering their stuff in pathways. Membership retention. How do we keep all of those members? That's something we need to look at. Mentoring. I know one of our members mentioned that they want to start their mentoring program. Here's some challenges. Maybe you don't have enough folks stepping up to help out with mentoring. So here's some best practices for that as well. So all of that's included in this program. I will share it with everybody on the call, and I'll also make sure that I get it to Kayla so that she can store it wherever it is that she wants to store stuff that we will all have access to it. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, I will turn it back over to you, Kayla.
Thank you, Stacy. So, guys, we are actually a little ahead of schedule, and I forgot to mention earlier that you can get up and go to the bathroom. So, beforehand, I do have a special guest coming in. So, I'm going to move our break up to now, ask you guys to come back in about 10 minutes. Actually, you know what? Let me give you 15 minutes. So, that'll put us at the 11:40 mark. If you guys could go and then come back, we actually have a surprise guest speaker that would love to get your feedback. How about that? Sounds good? All right, let's pause the recording.